Oi, oi, you beautiful people. It's me in sunny Florida. It's the old Cockney butter and getting real. This one is around a subject that happened to me today, and I'll tell you what, it was a blessing to be there. It's all around that believing yourself, guys. Believing in yourself. So like I say, I'm here in Florida. We've finally been getting some heavy rains coming in. But it's also been a bit squishy. But well deserved, the old earth needs it. So let's not destroy it, yeah? Because we seem to be doing a bloody decent job of that, yeah? So like I say, this is all about believing in yourself. And I had the opportunity about helping out a real dear friend. And I just thought, you know what, how many other people have I come across that have been in the kind of positions? Me included. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, hey, I'm in a privileged position as far as not being in where some people are. And I'll tell you what, I count my fucking blessings every day. I count my blessings. It's part of my gratitude. It's part of the routine of when I take my malas off and that, and I stand there in the evening when I take my malas off, and I put them up in an area that I have, and I stand back, I do prayer hands, and I give thanks and gratitude. And yeah, I don't miss out the thanking the universe for what I have and thanking God for, you know, getting me forward and looking out. And because I tell you what, I wasn't always in this position exactly. I wasn't always in this position. I mean, shit. I mean, even where I grew up, all right, I'm not going to say not where I grew up was a rough area, but and the only way I know that is by people that I've worked with and shit, and they've gone, where do you live? And I tell them, and they're like, oh no, I fucking drove through there the other night, and I even had a mate that wouldn't come in there to go to the pubs, and so yeah, you know, you're like, but I grew up there, so I didn't know. What did I know, right? There wasn't money to throw around, you know. There was mum, dad, my sister, and myself, and you know, it was. But we had a roof, which comes into this story, because it's all. Believe it or not, it's all about having that roof. It really came. It's funny how things get passed down generation to generation, isn't it? Huh? Oh God! Hang on a minute. Let me have a little drop of drink. Give me a sec. Oh, that's better. And so yeah, so the roof statement comes into this. So I'll bring that into it because it will come into the story, but. Yeah, when I first came into the US, and did I bring a little bit of money in? Yeah, I was doing a bunch of overtime at work. I didn't tell anybody at work really what was going on. Nobody really knew. I never ever used to do overtime. I didn't really need to. And again, it was one of those, you know, I had mates that had apartments and shit. I was living at home, and but again, knew there wasn't money to throw around. Growing up as a kid, I was a street kid, and there wasn't internet and all that. And there was a big old tribe of us that used to go around, like a big old posse used to go around of us, ranging from ages from freaking like, I don't know, like 7, because they were like brothers and sisters and that, to whoever was in with us. and it'd go right up to like 18 years old, and we was there would be a massive crowd of us. But good times, and you learn, was I bullied and that? Yeah, shit, man. That became part of the problems that I have now as far as rage and shit like that. I mean, that's all part of the bullying part of it. It comes into play in my adult life. But I'm glad that I grew up in that era, to tell you the truth, because there was a lot of knocks. There was, God, blimey, but the community of it all, the camaraderie of the block, because I lived in blocks. I lived in a concrete jungle. So the block I lived in, everybody knew each other, and you don't get that now. It's drifted away. My mum still lives in the same place, and she said, she doesn't even hear kids outside now, which is a real shame. And it just adds to the mental health, as you grow up and get older and get into adulthood, and then you start wondering why some of these emotions and that are missing, because you've not had to go through them. Yeah, when it gets into those really tough times, when what happened today is someone came to mind. I won't say the name, but someone came to mind, and I thought, and it was right as I was meditating. I just got into my morning meditation, which I've done 10 days in a row, because like I said in a couple of podcasts before, when you're slipping and you know where you're slipping. We just don't like to admit it. And I know my meditation was slipping, so I'm 10 days on right now, which is freaking awesome. I remember at one point I had like 180 days in, and then I slipped, and God, blimey. Yeah, I was like, no way. So I got into my morning meditation this morning, and then I always do like my Wim Hof breathing right after. And when I came out of me, I think it was towards the end, and then coming out of it, I thought of this person, and I'm like, huh. And I saw this person in yoga, in their own practice, and I thought, So I sent them a message and said, hey, what's going on? And there was things going on there, and I said, hang on a minute, I'm picking up on an energy. You didn't come to mind for nothing. What's really going on? Anyway, got to the point where I'm like, can you jump on Zoom? And jumped on Zoom, and then I was able to be there. Blimey, amazing. And just some things that happened was absolutely just freaking absolutely insane, because it's like, I've said this before, how I get some things that come to me and I don't know for what reason or why, or sometimes there might be some kind of outcome on the end of it. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes I've said to some people, I'm hearing this, does that ring a bell with you? And they're like, no, not really. And sometimes I've come back again and gone, you know what, it might be blah, blah, blah. Or, but today it just freaking hit like straight on the damn head. Because there was at one point in the conversation, and I said to this person, I'm seeing rum dust. Why am I seeing rum dust? And if you're in this kind of, I have, but I don't have like books on rum dust or anything like that. I've watched some documentaries with rum dust. I know some of his work, but I pull resources from freaking everywhere. And there'll be those occasions when I'll be like, I'll have a little look at some rum dust, and then I'll be like, oh, let me get back into Sadhguru a little bit, and then let me look at some of the interviews and that I get into. So I kind of go around and work on getting a nice wide scope of things. But it's kind of weird how it wasn't somebody that someone has said Sadhguru, I connect with that more than I do rum dust, because I've read I've read Sadhguru's book. I've been really into a lot of the interviews that I've seen with him, so I can honestly say that there's a connect there. But this totally connected with my friend, and then the crazy thing is I'm like, what's with the Ram Dass reference? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I can see this picture like in a frame with. And I know they're into Ram Dass, I know that. So I had that in mind, like, but then what happened next just freaking riveted it home for me. Because we've been getting into all this talking about, I'm not going to go into the subjects or nothing like that, but we got into talking, and I gave a bunch of pointers and thought patterns, and when I said about, hang on a minute, I'm seeing Ram Dass here, and they, the friend of mine looked like, oh, really? That's interesting. Very extremely spiritual person themselves, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful human being. Again, one of those people that that I look at, just like those people look at me when I doubt myself, and they go, why are you doubting yourself? Even my therapist, like, what, are you kidding me? But hey, right? But no, what happened next was crazy, because and then as this friend of mine was leaning forward, and what do I know? I don't know what they're leaning forward for. They're leaning forward, kind of cutting out of the screenshot a little bit, and as they're doing that, I say, I'm seeing a Ram Dass book, and it's telling me, whatever this is saying to me, just open the book and the answer's there. And that's all I knew. And the friend grabbed, what did I know, right? And she goes like this one, and it's got a Ram Dass book in the hand. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, right? So and then they're like, okay, well, let's open the book. And they open the book, and straight away you can't like read it and process it. So, but the weird thing is it opened on page 111. And I, again, I know my limits. I don't try and know any of these number patterns or anything. I go to the people that do. So I'm saying to my friend, does that mean anything to you? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, God, blimey, this is all adding up. And then they got in touch with me just now and read me the passages out of the book. And it completely matched what was going on, what we were talking about. It came a little bit into a bit of the quantum physics side, because I was making mention of that and this quantum shifting that I'm going through, and I'm saying, hey, you might want to check this out. And I was mentioning about, me mate that I got it from, Grom, and how it landed in front of me, and I'm like, you might want to, this landed in front of me, and I thought I was going nuts for weeks, and it's like the journey's only just started. So, but one of the things that came out of it as well, because my friend was in a spot. I ain't gonna lie, a spot in their mind, and it's and it's not good, because it was bouncing all over the place, and it put her in mind of those like rock bottom, and I'm like picking up on the energy of it all, and I'm thinking, this is the turn point. This is it. This is it. And it's weird how, through my own journey and through what and especially since I've got into this bloody constant, this shifting, quantum shift that's going on. I don't know how long these bloody quantum shifts last or what, but I've got my therapist in my corner. I've got a couple of mates in my corner, and anybody else that wants to get in on this, and because it's bloody crazy. And but to be able to be there and see, but have a different perspective of what they're seeing, because they're seeing doom and hurt, and rightly so. It hurts. It hurts to shift. It does. It hurts because I think at some point you reach a certain area to where it hurts bad enough to turn you around and want something bigger and better and stronger and growth, and it'll turn you around. Mine happened to be going suicidal. I'll tell you, that was the turn. That's what I was saying to my friend. It's like that was the point. That was the turn point. That was the holy shit, I've never been in this spot before. Now what do I do from here? Because this is like the worst of the worst that I've felt in any kind of anxiety, depression, or anything area. And it was the turn. And I said to my friend, I said, my wife stepped up and she got me into my therapist, Judith. Big ups to Judith, love her. Absolutely love Judith to death. She pulled another blinder this week. Holy shit. Unbelievable. But if I hadn't met my therapist at that point, through my wife basically, it's weird now when I look back and I look at the whole pattern of it all, it happened in that pattern for me to be sitting here right now. You can hit some of those areas. It wasn't the first time that I went there either, when I was going dark and shit. Up until even recently, I've had a bit of it, but it's all down to this sticking with and navigating through this quantum shift, or the shifts that you may be going through. And I tell you, again, in the conversation I had today, I said, some of your people that are like really strong in the way they are, and knowing in their own confidence and everything, have come from that area, from that place of rebuild. Because I think sometimes you go there because we really are playing a different, like a mask, like a show. It's like, the old me is definitely not who I am now. So to all those people out there that get into some, or are in some rough areas, give yourself a little bit of clarity by starting to write stuff out. Is, the first place I went to with my friend, it was like, okay, grab it, you got a pad and pen? Which I knew they did, because they always bring a pad and pen. And I'm like, great, yep, okay, cool, right, let's start here. And this is when that reference comes in about the roof. Because this comes from my nan. And I don't know whether it came to my nan from my great nan. I don't know. I don't know that far back, but I know this came from my nan to my mum, from my mum to me. And one of the things that was the advice given to me by my mum through my nan, was always have a roof over your head. And, even if that roof is, I don't know, a friend's place, or, and there's a lot of, I've really got to ask anybody I know, I've got a really soft touch for the homeless because of that, because of the roof part. Because it's like looking at what we actually have. And that's what I said to my friend. Okay, what are we playing with here? What do we actually have? What do we have? And the roof was one of them. So I was like, right, bingo, because the advice was, if you've got a roof, you figure everything else out. And I honestly, if if I had to survive, I would do whatever. If I had to walk into supermarkets or whatever and ask for, hey, have you got any food I could have or whatever, and even if I wasn't getting it, then I'm going to take it somehow, somehow. Yeah, not very Buddha-like. Yeah, right. Yeah, I get ya. I get ya. But it's when it's that or. I mean, most of the time I like to think that people will give you. I like to think that. You before you even get to that point, you don't use up, you want to grab your resources. I'm talking about when you're like, if I was down to the point of like, well, what do I do now? Then you're going to do what you're going to do to survive. But I don't think it would even get to that point. But we think... because our mind goes to the worst case. Whenever it's thinking forward, it's not, and that's what was going on. It was always the thinking forward. My friend couldn't see forward because everything became dark going forward. And it's like, right, what do we got? What do we have? Roof, brilliant. Okay, next thing on the list is, maybe some dosh and food. Money, food. Right, what do we do there? And it's using the resources that you have. Some of those things you may not even want to do. You may not want to work in, I don't know, a bar, or you might not want to work in the restaurant. There's been frigging kitchens I've worked in. I'm like, but it's you tell the mind this isn't permanent. This isn't permanent. And what I also said to my friend was, in this building stage, when you're going through, say, like, yeah, maybe you did get that job in the bar or something to just, start earning yourself a crust. But the first thing you tell yourself is, one, you ain't staying there, and two, watch your comfort, because this is when it doesn't do you any favours. It's the whole thing that's driving the force behind it right now, is the fear. And a little bit of that can help drive you forward. And because, yes, we can get into... I've been in kitchens that I've stayed there because it was, like, comfortable. It was like I reached a company. Was I getting paid well? No. Would it have been a better choice to move on, to grow? Yes. Yes. But my mental health weren't very clever with the anxiety and all that, and it was like, more comfort meant better. I didn't look at it the other way round. I looked at it as more comfort is better for my mind, not freaking looking at the growth and facing the fears. Hell no, that didn't come in the equation. Right? So yes, you may be down there in the, I don't know what you want to call it, right? Whatever position you're in, and I'm sad for you. I really am. Honestly, I really do have a heart for people out there that are in a struggle or trauma, right? In positions where you like can't see a way out. But there's a lot of people that I've read about as well that have been in these positions that have become absolutely amazing. They take one step at a time. What do I have and what can I use? And like my friend, I said, write shit down. Get the scramble out of the head first and make some sense of it down on paper. And then from there start prioritizing out and then looking at the things that you can't control whatsoever. Throw that out the freaking listing. And look at the things that you know that you can do, like even maybe right now. And then go from there, but keep yourself centered. I said to her, the other thing is, going forward, you look at everybody around you, and I mean this in the most kindest way whatsoever, but it's like, right, fuck it, I've got to shut down and I center myself. Obviously, use your resources with your friends that are really freaking loyal and they let some people know what's going on and shit like that. I've got a couple of mates that I know that are freaking, big shout to Grom, big shout to Dan, big shout out to you guys. because I know they're going through some of this shifting going on. And then I've got other supports. I've got Cam out there that supports me, supports my channel. He's always raises my energy up when I see comments and shit like that. And it's absolute banging. There's another guy, Kevin. There's a bunch of beautiful human beings out there that I keep in my circles. But you really want those ones that are solid, that are on that you can tell and let them know what's going on, and boom. Use your resources. Center yourself. What do I have? What do I actually have? Because it's like I said to my friend, even when you may be in a position where you think the freaking walls are actually caving in around you as far as maybe friendships or friends looking away from you or not being loyal or whatever, there's always that one somewhere. There's always that one. Or you can literally walk into somewhere and find a stranger and say, make friends with a cop that, if you got like a place where you go for coffee or something like that and just chat to someone. You don't have to tell them all the freaking details of everything. But, talk to people. Talk to people. And don't stay in that slurry of, because there is people like myself out here that would, love to hear from you, and it's all a part of the journey. It can be rough, I get it. You may be in some place right now, but know that there is people out there, even you listening to me here, that energy right there. I am here. Even if you say hello or something in the comments, I'll say hey back. I am here. There is people out here. I've got friends that would love to speak to people that are in a bit of a spot. I know people that do it right now. In fact, a friend that I spoke to today, I'll tell you what, amazing spirited person that would help. So remember, guys, there is some of us out here that will help you, yeah? I actually do this for a living as well. I do the one-on-ones. I do have a certification in counseling. I absolutely love what I do. Especially when it comes to situations like today where I can just be like, okay, and step up. It's an absolute blessing, but it ain't me doing it. It's other forces through me, let me tell you. It was today when those things came down and it all turned out with Ramdas, right? Car blood. So yeah, here I am, sunny Florida. If you go and hit that like and subscribe for me, you'll really be helping out the channel. And you'll be helping out other people as well, let me tell you. And yes, you'll be helping me. Thank you very much. So go and hit that like and subscribe. Pass these messages around to those you know may need to hear this. And if you got someone that's really not doing too well, hey, pass this one on to them, yeah? I hope everybody has a great, whenever you hear this, week, day, month, and you know what I always say, stay that course. Namaste.